Hello friends! This week I'm going to do a video that has been requested surprisingly often, which is just telling you about my cats, introducing you properly to the cats, because I realize that you have probably seen the cats on many videos, but some of you want to know their backstory, I guess, or well, let's do a little cat talk. It's been the kind of week where I know I could just use some cat talk. If you've watched all my videos faithfully, you've probably seen a lot of the footage because I often pop it in at the very end of my videos after my thank you to my Patreons. But I've got a few fresh cat videos and yeah, just gonna talk cats for a little bit. They currently have a new box that they're very excited about, so there's been a lot of this week. So I have 4 cats. Betsy and Puru are the old girls. I think it was 2010 when we adopted Betsy and Puru. Our cat Tacy had just passed away, so it was time to welcome some new friends into the house. We already had a cat, Oscar, who was younger than Tacy. He was 4 years old when Tacy died. And when I started this channel, Oscar passed away just about a month into the channel. When Tacy died, we lived in Florida, so we went to the local animal shelter in Seminole County, Florida, and they had an absolute ton of cats. It was overwhelming. And we both were wandering around, and it was our intention to find one cat to adopt. And I spotted Betsy. Betsy was sitting on a little perch, and as I walked up to her, she did this thing where like she was sitting with her paws curled, and then as I came closer to her, she kind of rose up on her legs like this in like this weird little pose and just lifted up her little nose, like, pet my nose. And I was like, aw, you're the one I want. And I just fell in love with Betsy instantly. Meanwhile, Dade had seen Puru, and Puru was like kind of cowering in a corner. I may be remembering some of this not entirely correctly, but she kind of crept out and gave him that look of like, please rescue me. So then we both wanted a different cat, and what happens, he ended up taking home both cats. So when we adopted them, Betsy was 3. She came from a house where the family had to move to an apartment that didn't accept cats. And Betsy is just like a real chill cat. I call her my Zen cat or my therapy cat because there is just something about her personality that is just so relaxing. She's not very smart. She loves to snuggle. Every time I feed her, as soon as I'm done feeding her, she immediately comes and finds where I am and like wants to snuggle like hardcore. So it's very sweet. It makes me feel like she's thanking me for feeding her. And she just loves to fall asleep on your lap. She'll do this thing where she falls asleep and she's like, her head will just slowly tilt back and her eyes will be open a little bit and her mouth will be open a little bit, and she'll just be like, "Urgh." And then her like little third eyes will start like twitching and her paws will be twitching, and she looks alarming, like is she having a seizure or something, but no, that's just how she sleeps. She's very trusting. So she's just been a very relaxing creature to have around all these years. And we don't know exactly what month she was born, but she's probably about 18 years old now. So don't get too attached. I mean, if any cat's going to live to be like 30, it would be Betsy. But, just statistically, she's probably kind of nearing the end of her very, very relaxed life. So I'm trying to brace myself for that. But she did have a checkup over the summer, and the vet said she was extremely healthy. She was having some lethargy and like wasn't eating for a few days. So I had her get a full workup, and they said she was fine. And then the lethargy passed. So I think she was just stressed out about us adopting the other cats. When we adopted Puru, it said on her paperwork that she was 1 year old, but she was not fully grown, so I'm not sure she was truly 1 year old yet. She might have been like almost 1. She seemed very young, still kind of a kitten. I usually spell her name phonetically, Puru, but she is actually named after Elpeo Puru from the Double Zeta Gundam anime. And it is a very appropriate name for her because for the few of you that may have watched Double Zeta, Puru always kind of runs around saying her own name and wants to take a bath. And Puru loves to clean herself and every other cat. And she also, there was like a little paper that came with her that her owners had filled out describing like, you know, her backstory and like what she was like. And it said, she meows and talks to you. And boy, was that ever true. Yeah. Oh. What? Why such a high voice? What's with the frog voice? Why do you always have a frog voice when you get down here? Puru will like lurk under a piece of furniture, or she'll be like sleeping on a chair. You won't know she's there, and you'll walk by her and you'll just hear this little ow. Like, oh, Puru. She's very smart. She's a little sensitive. If you've had a lot of cats, you might notice that some of them are dumb and some of them seem like kind of sensitive. Oscar was kind of smart and sensitive, and so was Puru. Betsy and the rest of the crew, not so much. Betsy, by the way, is named after the Betsy Tacy books, as was Tacy. When we got Puru, she really did not like people. She only liked other cats. She didn't really like to be touched or held. If she walked by, she would kind of look at you and like swish her little tail, but if you tried to pet her, she'd like duck her butt, like, no, don't actually touch me. She didn't really like to, she's like the cattiest cat I've ever had. That like stereotypical cat personality. I have not found that many cats actually have that personality, but Puru does. She always seems a bit like a wild creature that was mostly but not entirely tamed. There's something very wild about her still. Even though she's extremely lovey, after much patience and giving her space to come around, she did eventually become a very, very affectionate cat who likes to be held, likes to get on your lap and go to sleep, likes to sleep with people, very purry. It just takes time with cats sometimes, years to get them to trust. When we got her, she mainly just wanted to be with the other cats. Oscar didn't, he wasn't very like, no, I don't want any other cats. I only like humans. He would every morning when I would feed them, he would stand there waiting for his food, and Puru would slowly slink under his chin, rub her tail under his chin, and he would lean over and bite her little butt, and she would go, ow. Like every morning. The other thing about Puru is she's like one of those cartoon cats that would have like eyelashes and would walk like boom, 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 like a pinup bombshell 50s cat or something. You see that in cartoons. She's actually like that. She walks with like the serious like hip sway, and then when you're paying attention to her, she'll like flop down and she'll start twisting around. She'll make this little sound like like I'm not even exaggerating. Just like it's like she knows how to flirt somehow. So Puru, we can assume, is 15 and will be probably turning 16 sometime in the next year. So she's also somewhat of an old girl, and she's taking medicine for her thyroid. So I don't know how long she'll be around either. But right when we adopted her, she had to immediately get surgery on her kidneys. She was peeing blood like the week we brought her home. And they told us that she had a genetic condition with her kidneys and she might not live as long as other cats. But her kidneys never troubled her again, and she's lived a good long life as well. A few of you have asked me what I feed the cats because they are very healthy cats, and I give them mostly canned food. No. I give them mostly canned food with a little sprinkling of dry food. They collectively share 3 cans and then a little, probably like half a cup of dry food throughout the day. And I put water in their wet food as well. Like after I empty out the can, I fill it with water and pour it over their food so that they get a little extra liquid. so that they're less likely to get UTIs because cats don't always drink enough. And I don't buy the cheapest wet food. I used to give them just Friskies because I didn't have a lot of money, but then one day the whole household got super sick from Friskies. They lost their appetites and they all got under the bed for like 48 hours and they wouldn't eat and they were super lethargic, and I thought I was gonna have to call the vet for all of them. I was really worried, but then they all snapped out of it. And I've never fed them Friskies since. I buy them like a little better food than that. Their food is pretty pricey, but it's not like the most expensive. And I give them a ton of different brands because I feel like cats could get bored too. They all like different flavors. So then when Oscar died about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, for a couple of weeks, I tried to just have the old girls around and think maybe we shouldn't adopt more cats. But that didn't last very long. The house started to seem very quiet without Oscar. Just having these older girls who don't play that much anymore, but just sort of like to lay around. I'm sure they would have been really happy if I didn't get any more cats, but whatever. We actually had a hard time finding cats here, which is weird because I often see people saying that there's too many cats that need to be adopted and the shelters are overflowing, but I looked at all the shelter websites and a lot of them didn't really have that many cats listed, but their pages said, like, check our website to see what cats we have. So I don't know if they had a bunch of cats that they were not updating on the website, but it looked like they had a fair amount in Burnsville, so we drove up to Burnsville. I actually tried to adopt a cat first through like a fostering agency, like kind of that does more like matchmaking and has like those pet adoption events. We went to one of those at one of the pet stores, pet supermarket, I think. But I realized the problem with those is that the cats they haven't been at the pet store. Like they've been brought from a foster home to the pet store. And I really wanted to get a feel for the cats when they're kind of comfortable. I mean, they're not super comfortable at a shelter, but at least they've often been there for several days or weeks and have started to acclimate to their surroundings. Because I really feel like I need to let the cat choose me rather than me choosing the cat. So I need like a pool of cats to choose from, and I need to see who kind of tells me, take me home. So we went to the Burnsville shelter. It was very nice. Much better than the Seminole County, Florida shelter. They had just like a reasonable number of cats per room, and they each had like an outdoor thing they could get to. So it was a pretty nice, relaxing environment. And they had the cats divvied up in rooms based on like how acclimated to people they were. So there was like these cats are very shy and like stressed and haven't gotten used to people yet. Then there was like the middle room, and then there was like the most ready for adoption room. And we ended up finding these two in the middle room. When we got in there, Reinhardt was cowering in the corner in like a little cat cube bed thing. And he was just like, hunched up, terrified. Dade kind of coaxed him out. And after that, he got like really friendly and happy to be petted. And I just fell in love with him immediately. But then meanwhile, we had Capellia. She was kind of lounging on like this upper ledge, and she was really friendly and like really happy to be petted. So we talked a little and we were like, 4 cats, that's a lot. So maybe we should just bring home the boy, kind of debating. And as we were looking in the third room with the friendliest cats, and we still liked the cats in the second room better, we came back, walked by the second room again, and Capellia had gone out into like the cat porch zone, but she came back in and she walked up to the door where we were looking in, and we just saw her little mouth like like looking at us with this little cry. We were like, oh no, we have to adopt her too. She's just there like telling us, please adopt me. So we brought home both cats. Reinhardt was 9 months old, and he came from a feral cat colony in like a parking lot somewhere, which is why one of his ears is clipped. And he was apparently super shy when he got to the shelter, really afraid of people. But when we brought him home, he cowered behind the toilet. And there's a handsome boy just kind of hiding out in a weird little corner behind the toilet. And apparently he kicked up some cat litter. You're so handsome. A little lion. And I coaxed him out. And once I coaxed him out once, kind of just like at the shelter, he started to become friendly pretty much right away. And I was a little afraid that no cat was going to bond with me as deeply as Oscar did, because we adopted him when he was only 8 weeks old and he'd grown up in my parents' porch. So we'd basically known him his whole life. I was afraid that I would never feel that level of bond again, but Reinhardt just seemed to bond with me so much as soon as I brought him home. He gives me that look like I'm his mommy, just like Oscar would. So I love that little guy, and he was everything I thought I didn't want in a cat. I thought we were going to adopt like a more like mature cat that wouldn't stress out the girls. I didn't want a long hair because it's a lot of fur. I've never really been that into orange cats. Don't hate me. I don't pick cats based on their coloring, but I've just never really been drawn. I'm more of like a tortie girl. I love the torties. But I fell so in love with Reinhardt immediately. He is named after Reinhardt from Legend of Galactic Heroes, because that Reinhardt also has kind of this majestic mane of hair. So he's my little lion. He is every bit as goofy as orange cats are advertised to be. He's not very smart. He's extremely scared of everything. He's terrified of Dade, even after being here a year, and Dade loves cats and has never really done anything to traumatize him, but he is terrified of Dade. He's especially terrified of when he's wearing a long sleeve shirt and his cuffs are like kind of dangling off his arm. Oh my God, Reinhardt is terrified of that. And he has the goofiest little squeaky meow, and he'll go down to the bottom of the stairs and just make this sound that's like, it's not even a meow. It sounds like, eh, eh. Like, what is wrong with you? Oh, you've gotten so big. Yeah, but your meow is still so tiny. Capellia, meanwhile, Capellia came from a hoarder house, and we call her the little goblin because she's very active, a little naughty, and this cat she loves to just run and run and run. She loves a laser pointer, and she will just run and run and run, chase this laser pointer in circles until she is totally dizzy. She'll run after toys. She's extremely energetic. When we first got her, she didn't seem to know what to do with people. Her description on the shelter page said, she loves to be petted, but she's not sure what to do. And that was true. We would pet her, and like she'd be like laying down, and then you'd go to pet her, and she'd immediately like stand up, arch her little back, and she'd start like kind of doing this little dance for her little paws. She'd kind of like dance around with her little paws, and she'd seem like really happy to be petted, but like I'd always be like, you don't have to get up. You could just stay put and enjoy it. But she would do her little dance, so we named her Capellia because we thought she should have a like ballet name because the way she'd kind of dance on her little feet. So we looked at all these names from ballets, and I landed on Capellia, which was a ballet about a doll. And I thought, well, I already write about doll people, so that's like perfect. She usually ends up being called Coco, though. After a while, and it did, like, Capellia just seemed like growing up in a hoarder house had made her a little simple or something, like, poor little baby. Because for weeks, she would just sit on the floor while we'd be on the couch, and she'd, like, look at me like she wanted affection, but she wouldn't seem to understand that, like, you can jump up on the couch and humans will pet you. But, like, one day, she jumped up on the arm of the couch, and suddenly she was like, oh my God, I'm here. And I petted her, and she was all like, oh, oh. And pretty much the only sound Capellia makes is like this little trill. I can't replicate it. I have some videos where she's kind of making the little trill sound, but that's like, she doesn't have any other noises. She always sounds like the surprise trill. Oh, there's Coco. So if you just wake me over and says yes. When you pet her, you get the trill. When she's playing and like she gets excited about the toy waving around, she makes the trill. Whatever's going on, she makes the trill sound. But if she really, really, really wants some meat, like if I'm cooking, she'll finally bust out a little high-pitched cry. So they both have like this sad, sad little high voices, these two. They're very good together and they like to play together. And Capellia remains kind of a little bit of a simpleton. We have like this one toy that's like a puzzle board for cats. They can pick treats out of like different little compartments and stuff. Everybody else knows how to get the treats out. Capellia does not even try. She took one look at that thing and was like, I have no idea. So yeah, you're not the smartest kitty, but you love to be petted. You're so happy. So that is the story of all the cats. For those of you who are asking on the cat backstory video, there you go. Now you know exactly who they all are. I hope this video brought a little delight to your evening. And if you're new here, this is normally a writing and creative life channel, and my name is Lydia Foxglove. But the cats, let's face it, they're a lot of the star power, as any pet ends up stealing the show with YouTube so often, right? If you want more from me, I have a Patreon and a Substack. They both have the same content and they both have a free tier. There's a link in the description, and you can also find my books there. And I will be back very soon with more of my usual content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!